we're back.
And we're back,
Alrighty.
everybody!
What do you think of the tonal music?
I love 8-bit and chiptune.
You are definitely an 8-bit fan. I gotta get this working, guys. There we go. I cannot see how big that is at all.
Everybody here that, well, if you're a game lover, this kind of music just makes you go, ah.
Indeed.
Wingardium Leviosa.
So, Eric Kermit is in the chat with us in the Skype. Not in the Skype. He's gonna be in the Skype. Give me a second, Eric. I'm gonna call you. But it's gonna be weird because
What we're
it's
going to do is that
ringing.
we're going to bring him from the chat
Yeah, I have an Italian
into the
family.
Skype.
Get over it. Yep, hi.
Hello.
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 Hear me?
Yes.
we do.
Oh, okay, cool, great.
Good. I'm gonna turn your game down a little bit
Yes, sounds good.
though. I love the music in it, but also I'd like to chat with you.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So how's it going? I mean, this is kind of impromptu. I know. We just chatted for the first time like last night.
By the way, we thank you infinitely.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. As well as a shout out to Lady JD, who I will let her know that we're starting because she kind of
Sweet.
introduced us.
Yeah, I'm very glad that she kind of kept us together. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah. So before we get started, I want to say
Okay.
congratulations on the launch.
Oh, thank you.
I know this is like your 5th game?
What? No, it's my second game.
Second game. What was I looking at? Anyway. Anyway,
Why are you
that's
looking at
awesome.
me? What
and
are you looking at?
my first game was just like this, I don't know, this like mobile app I did with 3 people. It wasn't, this is kind of like an entirely different deal, you know?
Interesting.
So.
Would you mind giving us like a quick synopsis before we jump into it?
Okay, so Earth Tongue is basically just kind of like a little simulator for a miniature ecosystem, right? So people have compared it to a vivarium, which is basically a terrarium, but you know it could be anything. It's got just funguses and bugs in it, and you just kind of have to play with it to try to maintain the ecosystem to be healthy. You don't want everything to go extinct. And that's basically it. The goals are, there's not that much like kind of like explicit goals in the game, and it's mostly just kind of meant to be a bit of a kind of relaxing experience to kind of just take care of this little world.
Mm-hmm. Now I played it a little bit last night,
Okay.
just to try it out, but I love. Did you do all the art? Like, is this just a one-man team?
I did basically everything. All the art and the sounds and the music and everything. One of the songs is a remix of a song I made that my friend made for me. But other than that, yes, I did all the art and the sounds and stuff by myself.
Which is so cool. I love the night sky.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
What was the inspiration for this game?
Okay, so the inspiration was that I spent a couple days just kind of like reading nature articles just cuz, and was feeling really inspired, but I also was kind of sad that I'm not an ecologist. I mean, not like genuinely sad that I'm not an ecologist, because I couldn't just leap into it out of the blue. But like I was like, man, I want to be an ecologist, and I want to have like a little farm for bugs that I own, and like none of this is practical, so I'm just gonna make a game about it instead of doing that.
Oh, interesting. Now, okay, so from what I figured out last night, because I
Yep.
love this game, it's awesome in a lot of ways, and it's meant to be played by pretty much like watching an ant farm, where you nudge things every now and then. So
Yeah.
in the top left of my screen is interventions, and I have 5 of them, which is kind of the currency.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's import bug, fungus, and weather. And you see there's a cost underneath.
Yes.
Now, I can do it randomly, completely random, and it's a lot cheaper. Because, like, for
Yes.
bugs, it would cost me 3 interventions to import a new bug, or 8 if I did it specific. So, is there a reason that you chose to do it that way?
Yeah, because I wanted to. I really wanted to encourage kind of like more random things happening, and to not give you that much direct control in the game. That's why you also have to deal with interventions in the store, and making it so that a random bug can exist, but is cheaper, kind of gives you something to buy if you're impatient or don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It just kind of balances the game a bit more, I think.
So I have a pause right now because as you go on, every second I think is a year that goes by, if I'm not mistaken.
A unit of age, yeah, but the metric of time is intentionally left vague.
Yeah. But what would you suggest if you're starting out like this? Like, how am I going to get
What's the
an
best?
expansive, a very, expansive vivarium?
Okay, so the best thing to do is I usually like to drop rain off the bat because sometimes the top isn't that wet. But that's not that important. I think usually early on it's best to just drop fungus, like new fungus, into the map because usually it's pretty empty, and fungus kind of forms the backbone of the entire environment because like everything eats it or eats something that eats it, right? So
cool.
So usually what I do is I spend like I'd buy 2 fungus right now, and then what happens is as soon as I can afford to import new bugs, I do that. I think I've kind of found that mushroom is the best fungus to have usually, and grub is one of the best bugs to have because the butterfly can spread around spores, which kind of helps keep the world from going extinct.
Okay. So I'm gonna put a little rain, just because then we get it on the, and then we have speeds as well. So if you're sitting there like, oh, I need some more interventions, and that's all I'm ready for, you can easily.
You can jam it up to the highest, yeah, and it's even on the highest. It's honestly not that fast.
Yeah. So this snail is even.
So in the creating of this game, what was the most difficult thing to develop?
The most difficult thing to develop. Well, let's see here. Well, the most frustrating thing to develop was early on, and it's something that really shouldn't have been so frustrating, and it's making the pixels be as big as each other.
Oh.
You'd think that would be easy, right? But no, like Unity has all this like powerful stuff that it just wants to do, and it like will stretch random pixels. It makes some of them rectangles and some of them not rectangles, and some of them rectangles in different ways, and you just want to scream because you don't know what's causing it, and you go online and there's a whole bunch of people like going, oh yeah, I don't know what's going on. There's no good pixel perfect options, but eventually I was able to find some good pixel perfect options, and you can do some stuff with like manually changing the resolution to make it work. But yeah, I'd say that's probably it.
I'm watching this snail. So sorry, before we get any further, one of the things I wanted to touch on that you and I chatted about last night, which is really quite neat, is would you mind telling us the price point and the platforms that people can find the game on?
Okay, so yeah, it costs $4, and you can buy it for PC or Mac. But the $4 I guess comes with a little bit of an asterisk because you can get it for free if you submit any kind of fan submission. If you make me a piece of fan art that takes you more than 30 minutes to make, or like music, a poem, a sculpture, it could just be a story, anything that's, anything that you might want to call art, so long as it takes you about 30 minutes to make it, you tweet it or you put it on Facebook or Tumblr or whatever, ideally with a link to my game, you get a free copy.
Very cool.
Pretty much artisan.
That's a really good concept. I like that.
Right? I love that. And that was inspired by. I want to give the credits out. I can't remember.
It was Colin Northway. He's a really cool dude who made another a kind of nature, I guess, game, and he had a similar thing. And when I saw it, I was just kind of like, oh my god, that is the coolest thing. So that's something I like to do now.
Mm-hmm. So with games like this, I like to screw up really, really bad.
Okay.
So what would be the stupidest mistake you can make right now, which would just completely ruin everything?
Okay, so so something that's not completely obvious, but like the research journal actually does explicitly tell you at some point, is that when there's a certain amount of nutrient in the world, it stops falling from the sky. Which that's kind of bad because the nutrient falling out of the sky is basically the equivalent of sunlight in this world, which doesn't have sunlight.
Okay.
So if you were to just really early on, like use the little button that like puts a huge burst of extra nutrient into your world. If you were to do that early on, most of it would fall on empty areas instead of on fungus, and it would just kind of get locked away in the hills, and then the stuff would stop falling, and everything that was like stuck in valleys and stuff would starve out everything that's in their local area, while the huge bounties of nutrient is just off to the distance, inaccessible, and made the rain stop, and then everything would die.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out. Sorry, I like to say that at least once every show. Because we have these moments where we'll do something really dumb, and it'll be one of those bold strategy Cotton moments.
Yep, I'm trying to be smart about things. Might have to go back to the randoms just for fun.
So how do you gain interventions?
So interventions just kind of like slowly seep in over time. You gain one every like 150 units of age. But if you have a really high biomass, you end up getting more.
Oh, okay.
So like it turns to 2 or 3.
And that's really just, making sure that you have a good ecosystem going, that things are growing and things are happening.
Yeah.
Wow! Look at that! This is neat. This is actually...
You get this like immense field of the pink mold.
Yeah. It's a really fun game to even stream. Like, it's great for streamers. Oh,
Okay, cool.
Because you can still have a good chat and interact with people while you're kind of watching this, and then you're building the ecosystem together. I really kind of I quite like that.
I always imagined it as like a kind of really relaxing game that you could play, like if you needed to, just kind of chill out, or you just kind of wanted to feel like you got to take care of something, or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that does make a good thing that so it's not gonna like impede you from having conversations well too.
So what made you decide on the pixel world and the 8-bit sounds?
Okay, so the reason I chose pixel art is because, I guess I'm kind of good at it, but
Clearly.
it's honestly because it's easy. Is why I started with pixel stuff. Originally, the game was just going to be something I made in a week and then just put online for free, and that was that. And as I worked on it more, like the more enthusiastic and crazy about it I became. So I just kept going, and then what happened was, as far as the music goes, I was like, well, I've already got this kind of cool looking pixel stuff. I suppose I should whip up stuff in Family Tracker to go with it. So I downloaded Family Tracker, which is this like it's this thing that emulates the software you use to make music for like SNES games. So it's got all the exact same restrictions as it, and then started learning how to make music in that.
So
like
what you're trying to
Paint.
say
Mario
is
Paint.
we're going to see an NES port to this.
The computations that it makes would not work. It actually slows down on my computer sometimes if I like made the map too big, or like I had to do a few things to optimize it at some point.
But having old school console launches isn't out of the realm of possibility. The Dreamcast had like 3 game launches last year.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm not even joking.
If I managed to get Earthdawn working on SNES and sold like Earthdawn cartridges, that would just be like the raddest thing. But
Yeah, totally.
not too practical, I don't think. Also, I don't know how you do the controls. Like it's very kind of like mouse focused with the controls. So like
You could probably go through select, like use a select or like
it's
an
left
A, B, and
right.
start.
It's left and right.
Okay.
And then just you've got 4 buttons on the controller, right? The top 3 can be import, bug, fungus, and weather.
Oh, you're thinking of Super Nintendo. We're thinking of Nintendo.
Oh, we're thinking of NES.
I know what you could do. No, you could go left, right for the top stuff. And then if you want to start scrolling the screen, you just press select. And it would go down the screen. Press
Actually, something I was thinking about is that it would be nice to get a controller, like a controller option for the thing, because I'm going to go to PAX with this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's better to have a controller than like a mouse thing there.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I like that because you can just kind of like scroll between the. It's all based on a grid, right? So
Good work,
it's
man.
really easy to kind of have it click between them.
Mm-hmm. The other thing, can we get a link to the store for everybody that wants to pick this game up?
Yes. Here we go.
The only thing that I would ask is that if you did make a cart
I don't know if that's linked, but
I can make it.
I can do that right now. I'll do it right now. Oh, you do? You're gonna do it?
Go for it. You said you do it.
You should let's see here. I think you should try to grow some mushrooms or new mold because I think those are the gonna be. Oh look, you see the grub just turned into a cocoon there? You should go back to where he was. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a delay, probably a 5 to 10 second delay.
Prawn Jeremy asks, which PAX will you be at?
PAX South.
Where is that in Texas? Is that in Dallas?
Yeah, that's in San Antonio, which
San
is
Antonio.
fortunate because I live in Texas, so it's really easy for me to get to.
Whereabouts?
The grub's not a grub anymore.
I live in Houston area.
Just so you know, I'm gonna be in Houston for 8 hours on January 30th.
Yeah, great.
On my way to Costa Rica. I'm gonna be stuck at the Houston
What
airport.
a segue!
I'm gonna be stuck at the Houston airport for 8 hours, and I'm like, I could go to PAX. No, probably not.
You'd spend almost all that time driving, and
Yeah,
you might be able to
exactly.
chill for like an hour.
I know a couple people in Dallas, and I'm like, how far are you guys from Houston? I'm like, oh, it's about 5.5 hours. Oh,
So-
Texas is big.
What you have to be careful about when if you're saving up to import a mushroom or something, what you have to be careful about is that a very realistic thing that's going to happen is that you spawn it and there is a bug that is on top of where it spawns and he just instantly eats it up and then makes it extinct before it even has a chance to like just to start.
Bug.
Yeah.
I've developed assholes.
Well, we failed. I like that.
You had one job.
One thing I'm going to show after we put the mushroom down and hope to, the powers that be that doesn't get eaten. I'd like to talk about the research journal because it's kind of interesting that we can document all the things that you can get in the vivarium based on the fact that it's really quite a lot of random.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm wondering, the backgrounds the background is pretty amazing. Do you have any thoughts of adding new biomes or new worlds to play?
Oh, there.
Yes. So that's I have let me gather my thoughts here for a second.
No worries.
No problem.
All right, yeah. So further like improvements to the game are something that I'm really excited about. For a long time while making it, I was just kind of like, oh my god, I keep on having all these ideas of stuff I want to add, but like scope creep. I can't just. I'll never finish it if I just sit here and say I'm going to add this and add this. So I just basically said, no, this is a hard line. Eric, you're done. You're done adding new species. You're done adding, like, I was going to add, like, water biomes. You're done with all this. But now that it's out, and it's actually, like, I guess, I can't declare it a total success, but, like, it's a success, like, as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of people love it. I'm gonna keep working on it. And so updates like other like kind of different styles for different planets possibly. I do want to add like underwater sections so you can have stuff like dragonflies that start off as nymphs and then they turn in the water and they turn into dragonflies, and like carnivorous fungi, like you can have like a fly trap fungi and that kind of stuff are all things that I want to add, along with like just an immense amount of other things. And the order that I do that in will basically just kind of be, I guess, whichever I feel like is coolest at that time.
I like Mar in chat says, "Oh, no super mecha dragons."
Probably not. There probably won't be anything mechanical ever in the world of Earth Tongue, but
so let's get into the research journal, because I love the entries that you have in them, where it's giving you a little bit of a narrative, but is it also meant to, the way that they're written, it's almost as if they're giving you hints on how to make an ecosystem.
Yes, that is definitely how it goes. It's kind of an instruction manual that's disguised as a narrative. Yeah, so it says stuff like, "Oh, I should consider using interventions to do this," or "I'm in this new world. I should probably look for if there's any bugs that are maybe not able to reach fungus and move them into the fungus because there's not going to be a lot left." And yeah, and it also so it starts off as an instruction manual wrapped in a narrative, but then it turns into an achievement system wrapped in a narrative, because the game is really built not to have you worry about like explicit goals. I also know that that's a thing that a lot of people do need and do want. Yeah, like you're gonna want it, and it's actually something that I actually usually do care about. I eventually go, okay, so well now what's the point? Like this is cool, but what's the point? So the research goal I think kind of can satisfy that desire for collection. So if you manage to keep a single type of creature on your world for 5,000 or no, I think 7,000 units of age, you will unlock a research journal about it, which will basically tell you everything about that individual species, and I guess crosses it off your list as it were, if that's how you were to think about it. And the final like 3 entries that aren't tied to a species are really hard to unlock. And what they do is they kind of give I guess I want to say lore, but not really. But they start having it to where the narrator starts questioning its own existence and like what actually is going on, as opposed to just it being a silly just like I'm on a planet, right? Then this narrator actually thinking about, okay, so what am I actually doing on the planet and what is going on?
Yeah.
And I try to kind of like start developing a story through that, but like in a very optional and out of the way kind of way.
I like that. No, that's really cool.
One thing you could do if you really want to have an arbitrary experience system for those people that need one, you could just follow. We talked to this one guy named Eric Asmussen, and he did Disco Dodgeball. And he made an iOS game. Forget what it was called, but basically it was one of those games that was more of a social experiment where basically what he did was he knew that people like having goals and experience and levels, but he made it completely arbitrary. So it really did nothing except increase the difficulty of the game. And that's about it. But it was just one of those things where it's like, my best analogy is when Lisa on The Simpsons, when the school was on strike, and she ran up to Marge and she just needed to be graded. So that's what it kind of reminds me of. But yeah, if you never
make sure the snails don't eat that before it's too late. And I would buy the nutrient drop. Like while it's still early, so it has the nutrient drop weather.
Yeah.
So that it has a really good chance to just take off. Sorry, I interrupted you.
It's okay, but it was to go to the end of my point. What you could do is just make an arbitrary experience system, but in the options like toggle experience, so that doing certain things will get you experience and levels, but it won't actually mean anything in the.
Oh my god,
game.
That would be kind of funny.
Yeah, it worked. It works in Disco Dodgeball.
You just got 100 points.
Yeah.
Yay!
When we first played Disco Dodgeball on Steam, we were playing it, and it's like, you've attained level 2? I was like, there's no point to that, is there? He says, no, there might be later, but it's just really funny to me right now.
Nowadays, it's meant for unlocking mustaches and googly eyes, but...
That's a good use for it.
Yeah, totally. More hats, right?
Yeah, hats.
So, right there, like, I checked the research journal, and I was just skimming it while you guys were chatting, and it says, oh, dead things carry nutrients, so you should use that to like soil your grounds or feed it to fungus, etc., etc. So that's what I'm trying to do now. And now look at the mushrooms, which is like.
Yeah, they're taking really nicely to the snail corpse, kind of like helping it out.
Yeah.
Oh boy, pardon me.
Beetle. Oh, it's a beetle.
So how long? I forgot what you said about this one. How long has did this go from initial thought process to what it currently is?
So this unlike I guess a normal game that I would make, I suppose I didn't have a long period of like planning for it. I really only had just two days of reading nature articles for fun, and then like 3 hours of, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to do it quick. And how long is it going to take? It's going to take me 1 week. That's my time limit. If it takes longer than 1 week, I failed. And I'm just gonna make myself this little thing so that I don't have to feel upset about not being like an ecologist right now. And And so the thing is that I kind of treated it like a game jam almost, like where you just work fervently for like over 10 hours a day, or maybe 12 or 14. And I just did that for a week, and then I wasn't done, so I was like, I got to do another week, and then I did that for another week, and then I was, oh, this is actually really rad, and I don't want to stop now, so I did another 2 weeks of development. That not quite as fervently for the last 2 weeks, thankfully, or I would have just completely dissolved. But yeah, so I wouldn't say there was a big planning period for it. It just kind of developed, I want to say, organically. Originally, it was just going to be one screen. It was just going to be one screen, and there was going to be just mold, and there was just 3 types of mold, and there weren't any bugs. You couldn't scroll, and there wasn't any nutrient falling out of the sky or anything like that. It just was that, and I noticed that everything would die. So then I was like, oh, I've got to make nutrient fall out of the sky. And I was like, oh, well, that's too small, so I've got to make it bigger. So I made the map really big, and I was all like, so let's see here. The fungus just kind of still always eventually dies out, and it's kind of boring once it's just fungus. So I added bugs to make it interesting, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to make a whole ecosystem now and just think about everything that entails, because that would be rad.
This is so neat. Sorry, I'm completely enthralled with this.
Thank you.
And like the mushrooms here, you see they're digging their roots down, so they're grabbing the nutrients that are deeper down into earth. It's nuts. It's so cool. And you just kind of get to watch it. And yeah, things are like the roots are just dying here, so I assume that these mushrooms will die down a bit. But because the nutrients were so plentiful, they had a chance there where they were just everywhere.
Speaking of mushrooms, hold on, I'm gonna tweet a picture actually, because I had a really funny GIF earlier on, a glitch actually.
Oh.
We love hearing about the glitches.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so what happened was like the funguses, like the mushrooms and stuff, because they were kind of like multi-part, there's some small amount of, I guess, there's a certain intelligence to them that has stuff like they need to, you can notice how like they just ate the stem. When it's starving, it reduces it pulls down the cap and pulls up the roots,
Okay.
but like only if the root isn't drawing any nutrients. So like it kills useless roots and stuff. So one of the accidental first things that I did was that I made it so that the mushroom at the top, in order to fund its own growth, ate its bottom. So it looked like it looks like it's flying, but what it really is doing is it's eating itself to fund its own growth.
Whatever works.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Flying mushrooms. I'm okay with that. Yeah, make sure to click on that link. I wish
There
you could
goes the mushroom. That's awesome.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't find a way to put it in, but I wanted to have flying mushrooms be a thing, and I think sometime in the future I'm going to have, like, because you know how that nutrient's just kind of like falling out of the sky?
Yeah.
I'd like to have some more explanation and kind of exploration into what's going on there, like what's going on in the upper atmosphere, and flying mushrooms will be a thing because of that bug. But I do have to think about how they work in before I
Let's
just
call them rocket
throw them.
mushrooms.
That's a perfect segue, because the next thing I was going to ask about is, I know that you just launched today, but what are the plans for the future?
Yeah, so my plans for the future are to continue working on this as I get ready for PAX. So the thing we're going to focus on right now is kind of getting a PAX ready version with like a version that kind of plays itself so that I can have it running on a screen. But other than that, it's to continue adding more species, maybe rebalance a couple things. There's a predator called Mantis, which is actually horribly overpowered and tends to just completely wipe out the map once like it gets on the map for long enough.
The boss bug.
Yeah, and I'd like to make it so that he can't climb up hills, so he just gets stuck in pits. So now you've got death pits with mantises in it, which is actually cooler than just invincible mantises that kill everything. Because I don't know, that's just more entertaining.
Yeah.
But
Make that extra hard level.
These mushrooms just dried up all the nutrients in there.
I want to have like an underground section as well, and a like water section. So like there's gonna be like ponds and like ponds and like and make sure that each world has one ocean in it or something. are something that I would like to do.
Ooh. All that weather. This is so cool. I love. This is it's like an ant farm. I'm just watching it grow, and I'm completely enthralled by this.
Cool.
How about when does the music kick in? How many? What's the time for the music to kick in?
Okay, so
The
the music,
Minecraft.
they all last around 2 minutes each, and I have it where they actually only play like every 2 minutes or so.
Oh yeah.
So most of the time you spend is actually with silent music and kind of like a white noise in the background.
The white noise reminds me of a small yet incredibly difficult game called Shuttle Noise.
Oh yeah.
Oh jeez.
Oh my goodness, it was like the ragiest rage game, but all it had for music or sounds was just a very odd white noise that was eerily soothing and kind of good because it actually helped you focus on things because you weren't distracted by music that just wouldn't really belong there. But the music in here mixed with the ambience of the white noise makes for some good keeps your brain focused on everything.
Yeah. And I found that pure silence also like feels really unnatural. You hear the silence, but you actually don't really hear white noise.
You have a lot of stuff you still need to do.
Yep, I do.
Archimar says, "All hail Lord Mantis."
If they get up to 8 interventions, they can put one in the world and put this land on the fast track to a complete devastation.
Yep,
All the
okay.
fungus will be okay though, but actually a wasp will do it too.
Oh, really?
The only reason wasps wouldn't normally wipe out the world is because the mantises will eat them if there's mantises around. Even the other predators will get destroyed.
So why would somebody want to put a mantis in?
Okay, well, the thing
Unless
is
they're sick of playing.
having a mantis eat all your bugs sounds horrible, but what's worse is having your bugs eat all your fungus because now absolutely nothing can live and everything's going to die. Whereas if the mantis eats all the bugs, like the fungus will actually probably be okay for another round of growth. And so the mantises right now, or predators in general, are So Archimar says it correct. You need to call the herbivores, or everything will eat. So you just imported a locust, which is another herbivore. So
Yep, which is unfortunate because I was going for
The stars have aligned.
interventions received.
Okay.
That's good. I was going for the wasp and it was like locust, and I was like, oh, dang it. That's okay.
look at like that tower of snails is eating that
Yep.
stock. Your world's starting to it's starting to get a bit eaten up though.
Mhm.
Looks like there's a lot of barren land.
So I need the mantis in order to kill some of these.
But how long is it going to take?
Too long. I had the points, and I was gonna bring a wasp in. I was like, oh, well, if the wasp gets too overpowered, I'll just bring the mantis in to kill the wasp, and
And-
then all my problems are fixed.
What did the
I would
locust do?
definitely start with wasp. If you
Which one does a wasp look like? Oh, that's I see.
Oh, you got 6.
Yeah, I need 8.
Come on, interventions.
Yellow,
Come on, before
black,
everything gets eaten.
Red, white, and...
You can do it. I have faith in you.
Oh, it's fine. I mean, we gotta wait 300 age cycles. There's still got lots. And look at all the nutrient in the ground too, right? Like, look at that. It's barren, but it's full of nutrients.
So the ground, when it lacks nutrients, what does it look like? Does it actually change?
Yes.
Oh.
See, like this. There's none there, but there's all the little dots because
Okay.
it's the nutrient in the ground.
So when you drop some nutrients,
It just
does
hits
it
your top
replenish,
layer.
or is it just the topsoil?
Yeah, it just hits the top.
Okay.
Isn't
But
that neat?
if the topsoil gets like saturated with nutrients, all nutrient that falls onto it will start reaching the tile below it, and so forth. So that's how you end up getting the soil hitting below the ground as well.
Can't come with me, Wasp. You're clearly not
You can bring it anywhere you want.
Oh, you should move him near some life instead of just like dead bodies, because he won't. So one of the cool things is that a lot of the bugs will. Oh, you know what? I think all your bugs are starving to death right now. I don't think you even need the. This is.
Oh no!
I think you're too late with them.
Itself.
Are we already at the point of no return?
No.
Probably not quite,
Worst
but maybe
case
it's.
scenario, the planet just resets. That's nature, right?
But if you hit biomass 0, you actually stop gaining interventions, which means it's a possible lost state.
I see.
Yep.
And your biomass is going down. Sort of up and down now. Mostly down. Oh, it's going back up. Okay. It was going down for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, get rid of that locust. Get rid of the locust. Get him. Yeah, we didn't like that guy.
It's on a big chase.
Oh, there he is. Nom, 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 nom,
Nommed him good.
Oh, but all the dead bodies have been feeding my fungus.
Oh, that's
yeah.
good.
Thus the cycle continues.
You thought of everything.
There's what's really fun too is that a lot of the bugs will eat dead bugs, and they don't discriminate on type. So if you have I think there's a snail probably doing that right now, but like stuff like snails is when they all start starving out, they'll actually just start eating their dead brothers and or parents who just also starve to death. So as gruesome as that is, that does actually make that species pretty good at living, because they can become their own food in times of trouble.
Oh wow.
Oh, it looks like you've got a pretty good mushroom field.
Yeah, quite a good mushroom field. I'm gonna put you over here. There you go. I imported a bunch of fungus. Oh, we're actually doing quite well. I'm gonna drop some nutrients. Ooh. And only my snails have gone extinct so far, so there.
That's actually just really good recovery. Usually you have to, I think, lose a lot of species in order to...
Thank you.
Your first... You haven't made it to your first extinction, so that's alright.
So that's... Well, we had one extinction.
The snails are irrelevant. Come on.
I just used the last snail to feed it fungus anyway.
The snails were meant to be food anyways. Give it up.
That's what they do. I know. I love this music. Okay.
Something that I often want to do is add more songs, get some more song variety going down.
But honestly, for $4 or paying by art, the package here, the content package versus the cost is more than perfect. It's a steal of a deal.
Oh, thank you.
There's a question in the chat. Is there a soundtrack, or is it just the one song?
Well, no. Okay, so there are 3 different songs, but there isn't a soundtrack. There's actually 4 if you count the title theme, I
love a soundtrack.
Yeah, I probably should arrange a soundtrack together. Yeah, I'll put that on my to-do list.
I also had the thought, which I assume this is quick comment. All of those mushrooms suck the nutrients so quickly. So I was thinking fungus. Yeah, we'll do some fungus. And then I was like, but there are 3 types of fungus, and how do they all interact with each other? Because we have the mushrooms. We also have the red orbs, and then whatever the stockies are. These little green stockies.
Okay, so what you have you have 3 different classes of fungus. You have mold, which just sits on the surface and doesn't consume a lot of nutrient, and it stretches itself out horizontally. That's the pink mold at the very beginning, and it feeds itself out into the sides. You have pods, which reproduce slowly but are still only on the surface. So that's those little brown circles and those little red towers. Yeah. Those are pods, and they build a pod, and the pod the brown pod just explodes and seed spores around it, and the red pods just shoot their spores high up into the sky. Instead of spreading across horizontally. So and then you have mushrooms, and mushrooms are unique in that they have roots and the ability to grow high and low and stuff. Yeah.
And they also use up a lot of nutrients.
They actually they are a lot hungrier and a lot bigger. So they are for cleaning up if you have too much nutrient locked away.
Fleeting Infinity says, I do believe you're rapidly approaching planet death.
I think he's got it under control. It's not quite as good as he's kind of lost some of his former glory, but
your biomes are going way up, which is, I guess, good.
His biomass is leaping up, actually.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, this game seems to be a game of moderation. You can't have it just completely skyrocket, because as soon as it skyrockets, that means your resources are being used up that quickly. So you need to build everything up slowly.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a game of balance. It's like spinning plates while climbing stairs.
Just call this Terrarium Simulator, and you'll make millions.
Probably wouldn't target the right audience, so anyway, they'd be like, "What's all these controls?"
No, it's too smart. Oh,
Yeah.
What did I just say?
I was quite interested in how you got the name Earth.
Okay, so Earth Tongue, I basically just was looking at a blog of different like fungi, and one of them was a mushroom called Earth Tongue. I was like, that's a cool word. That word makes you feel weird, but then you stop feeling weird about it afterwards. So that's good because it's catchy. It's also, I don't know. It just kind of feels really right? Like Earth Tongue, it's kind of like stuff growing out of the earth. Yep, that's about as much as there is to that.
Wind blew spores skyward. There was a rainfall.
Yes.
The stars have aligned.
What the wind does is that a lot of times, so mushrooms are usually pretty good at climbing over hills and stuff. They don't have a lot of problem. But you look at that mold, it's not going to be able to get off you can see that lip right there on the right.
Yep.
It's not going to be able to go up there. But what happens is the wind, if there's any flowers or blossoms or anything that creates a spore at the top, it'll take any spores it's making and shoot them up to the top for just a second, which gives it the chance to reach higher ground. Whereas normally mold usually ends up settling in a valley because it doesn't have a good way to travel upwards.
Pink mushroom immigrated.
Diversity of 10. But our biomass is going down.
Oh, but is it ever? Holy crap, is it ever?
We're okay.
We're fine.
It's
Nothing's
below
growing.
30,000.
Nothing's growing, but we're fine.
Planet death is approaching again. Come on, Infinity. If you've seen anything here, it's that these damn wasps are taking on.
And besides, we have 15
No,
minutes
those are
before
locusts.
he can actually die, so
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
Those locusts are doing a pretty good job of sticking around. I think it's because they actually have the chance to escape any wasps that might come by.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, we still have the diversity of 10. We've only had the snail and the green mold go extinct. Oh, and the roach just went extinct, as I said.
That's actually pretty good. The maximum diversity you can have is 17.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Because that's one of every species, so that's pretty high. It's pretty good.
Thank you.
You got 10. So everybody that's watching this, if
Well,
you do
look at
pick
my
up the game,
biomass.
you have to beat 10.
Look at my biomass though. Just,
Yes, it is going back up.
you can't see the age in the stream, I'm just noticing, because it's game capture. But we're at 15,500 cycles.
Yeah. 15,600.
Oh, pink mold just went extinct.
Diversity went down to 9.
Yellow
Yes.
mold
I was just saying that it was at a maximum of 10. Now it's at 70.
Mhm.
Fleeting Infinity, seriously.
He's counting down.
Seriously.
Oh yeah, that's what he loves to do.
Yellow mode. Fleeting Infinity's nickname is Buzz Killington, by the way.
He's
Is he
also a homicidal maniac. In any game he plays.
relishing your misfortune?
Oh, indeed.
He tells you about the time that he watched a boat while murdering you. It was the Queen Mary 2. It was a lovely time stab. And
Stab.
just,
we're gonna get some more
slow
mushrooms.
stabs that are more annoying than they are
Rhino beetle went
painful.
extinct.
Buzz Killington even ruins being killed. It kills you slowly and slightly uncomfortably.
Yeah, we're gonna get some more.
4,000. Oh, it's going back down again. Biomass. Biomass going down.
Biomass.
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 Your nutrients were also up to like 130,000 at one point. Slow stabs with a spork. Yeah.
I think he's done. He's never reached the point where like the nutrient stops falling.
No, they've kept amassing.
I was reading that, yeah, because the ground can only contain so much nutrient at any given time. We don't need 3 dead locals over here, though.
It's like a nice little tower.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, you've just got mantises just randomly. So that's something that happened.
Good.
Is that
Oh, there he is.
stuff that you can buy also just randomly happens every now and then. I want to add in like a meteor shower event at some point too.
Would that be destruction or just a really nice thing to see?
It would be destruction. It would be it'd be called a rain of fire actually, not a meteor shower,
Nice.
and it would destroy half the stuff on the map.
It's like an ant simulator. when
You
it
know,
rains.
you need to go back to original SimCity days where you can import Godzilla.
Oh.
And you'll just see like big like Monty Python style feet just kind of walk by and crush random things.
That would be.
That's all you're.
What I would do instead would be keeping in the style is instead of Godzilla, I'd have some kind of like just giant worm that just like tunnels up from the bottom of the earth and just swallows half the map and then goes away.
That would work.
'Cause it's gotta be bug related. It's gotta be weird in that kind of regard. Whereas Godzilla is a giant lizard. He doesn't fit in.
That's true.
Smart man.
Oh. How about a blob? Some
Blob
sort
would also work, yeah.
Oh, a dead snail. Wow, how old is this thing? Jeez. Oh, snail's gone extinct.
Something else I think might be cool would be like if you could terraform a little bit, like move if you could like change the scenery around, like spend interventions to lower or raise soil, or even like expand the size of the planet. That's another thing that I've been kind of like sloshing around in my head about.
Which would be quite interesting, especially with if you had something like the mantis where you made death pits. Like this guy right here, he's got 2 corpses on each side of him. He's just like looking left and right, going, "Who's next? Who's next? Who's next?"
He's actually just trapped in that hole because you can't climb. You can't.
You had one job.
Oh, he's got a friend.
They're now they're both stuck. That would have been funny.
Oh, Prawn. Thank you for reminding me about that. I did want to have cicadas thing. I wouldn't have them like come up out of the ground randomly, but what I would have is that when they kind of land, the first thing they do is that like they just go hibernate for a really long time. So they might reemerge when things are just really different, and that also like they can avoid predators and stuff that way by just burying into the ground and sleeping for a really long time before showing up again.
You forget it. You totally forget about it, and then it just kills everything.
Welcome to the world of Avatar.
What was it called? Avatar? What was it called?
I don't know, Avatar. Welcome to the Blue People Planet.
Welcome to the Blue Kitty Cats.
Oh yeah, that was called Avatar. Oh, I forget what the planet was called.
That's what we're trying to figure out. I know that the species was Navi.
Pandora. It's called Pandora.
Pandora.
That
Yep.
makes sense.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Oh, lots of red pods.
Pandora was the planet.
Lots of mushrooms. I'm seeing already the balance that you're needing to find here.
Yellow mold has gone extinct.
Oh, it
How
always
dare
goes
you?
extinct.
And I think one of the ways that you can often you can play the game too is that it's honestly like once you start getting kind of well situated, like even though stuff is kind of like I guess I'm not. It's not necessarily looking down now, but like there's a lot of like little barren stretches. The game kind of becomes friendly to being a game that you alt tab and you check up on every now and then, or like you have it open on a screen while you're doing something else.
You could totally slow it down and it would just be like a screensaver.
Yeah, because I've been playing it at max speed this entire time.
And that's kind of like what you would have, like, because it's all supposed to be like, you know, like those pet games, like Tamagotchis, or
Yeah.
It's kind of meant to be kind of like a lot like that too.
And it does that very well.
Oh,
Thank you.
I was just about to ask, how did you decide on the color scheme
Net
in
has
this
got
game?
instinct.
I decided on the color scheme because I like the color. I like blue colors.
Me too.
Yeah, I think it just looks nicer and it's easier on the eyes. So that's what I did. And then also, it's easy to make them dark, and then kind of have the other colors pop because they're bright and kind of contrast well with the.
It reminds me of like a phosphorescence when it comes to the different things in there, because they almost look like they're glowing.
Yeah.
Which would also be a possible, reasoning. What do you call that? Adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a dark world, they have the phosphorescence, which causes the glow, which is also Pandora. What the hell?
That's just because phosphorescence is really pretty.
Yes.
If I get in like underground zones as a feature, I think phosphorescence will be like important in some way. I'm not quite sure how, but that would be.
Give them an actual glow or something like that, like a lighting effect.
Prawn is asking, are you going to have any kind of swarming bugs? As he knows you have wasps, but he's not sure if they hunt in packs, like say a bunch of ants would.
Okay, so no, I don't, but I would. Actually, that's another thing I'd like to have. The ability for something to have like a colony, so that they work together.
So like a hive or a hill. That could actually be interesting for changing the terrain. Because if you have like an ant hill, they could build up a mound or something and then go away, and that would change things up.
Exactly. Yeah. Ant was the one I definitely was thinking of, because there's all this land for them to dig into to like there's no shortage of like hills for them to build nests in. Whereas something like a beehive, it might be hard for me to find a place for them to stick themselves.
Another thought for if you do like possibility of ants and stuff, they could potentially cause sort of like an ant farm sort of thing where you can see their holes, and that could actually cause like maybe nutrients going down into the holes and making for different methods of feeding.
Oh, you could have like those. So yeah, ants build. They sometimes like ants sometimes have their own fungus farms like in real life.
Yep.
So they could have one of those.
So much possibilities.
One of my favorite real life funguses is cordyceps, which like infects the bug, and then it makes the bug basically commit suicide to a predator.
It's gross.
All it would need to do is evolve to affect humans, and then we would have The Last of Us, the game The Last of Us. That's what it's based off of.
The spores, yeah.
Yeah. That'd be freaky.
Yes, it would.
But having something like that in this, is that what you're saying?
So having fungus that is like
can infect the snail.
You have to have a predator has it, and then it dies, and then like the mold blooms out of the corpse instead of the ground, and any herbivores that eat it then get infected and try to get themselves eaten by a predator, so that cycle can continue.
That would be such an interesting concept into the game. It would be really weird, but it would be
Nature is an effed up place. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I sometimes regret watching those documentaries.
Man.
I love it though. I love all stuff like that. Like everything when I read, I'm like, oh, that is just horrible and weird, but it's great.
Yes, I do not regret learning about it. It's just like, oh, that's messed up.
Stick a beehive on one of those mushrooms between launch off to become a rocket. That is the best idea I've ever heard.
Rocket mushroom beehive? Oh.
The rocket mushrooms exist, and then the bees have learned to use it to travel between planets, and that's how they show up on the other one.
The bees are the aliens, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, nice. What a
I'm gonna
twist.
I'm gonna file that one away. That's a good one.
See, that's what our show is here for. We give the most random.
Aw.
We get the most random ideas from us and the chat, and sometimes it makes for some interesting.
By the way,
good ideas.
We kept 20,000 age cycles. We're almost at 22,000 age cycles. Just
Cool.
saying, if anybody's watching, they wanna take on this guy right here. 22,000 age cycles.
And with a maximum diversity of 10.
If you hit menu, I think you can also get there's a records like option that'll tell you like what your best of right now is.
Oh, cool. Highest biomass, 12,973. So 13,000.
Wow, that was quite applying on those.
Yeah.
It doesn't say your nutrients though.
Beat me, bro. Are you gonna do a YouTube on this, Ryan?
First, I gotta draw a picture though.
Oh, yes, you do. That totally took me for a loop.
What is going on in that little pit right there? That is just a happy place to be if you're a bug.
That is called hell. Where the only thing to eat is the corpses of your parents.
So they'll eventually get out of there. Oh no, they're not.
No, because you have to eat them, and then you make babies.
But they don't.
and then you die.
The problem is that the wasps can't eat up.
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Oh wait, I can make this hell prolonged then.
Or you can take them out of there. Oh.
No. No. I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit and keep them in there.
No,
When they're hungry, they'll fly.
Yeah, that's something that they sit and wait until they're hungry, so they don't like waste energy flying when they're not hungry.
Yeah.
Well, I'd hate to say this, but it's 9 o'clock.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yes, it is. It's at 8:59.
That caught me by surprise, actually.
And
Great.
that means that it is the end of another day of Average Giants.
Oh, final thoughts?
I love the music. I love the ambience. I like the fact that you can either leave this to simmer, or you could really like study it and go OCD and be like figure out everything.
I loved everything about this.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I really enjoyed this. It's
I like the fact that you have lots of thoughts to expand it even more than it is.
and that's why whatever you do next, let us know, because we would love to have you back on the show. 'Cause this is an amazing little project.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll tell you next time I've got some big additions onto it.
Wonderful.
Yeah, don't be a stranger.
Thank you.
But yeah, from everybody here at Average Giants and everybody here at Indie Game Magazine, just want to say thank you guys. Because of the awesome support we get from you guys, we get to meet super duper awesome people like we had on with Windward and Earth Tongue. So from everybody here, I guess much love, and we'll see y'all next time.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Our pleasure. Until next week, guys, have a good and we'll see you later.
Later.